In this video, Kevin and I are going to be talking about the TV shows and movies that we've watched during October. You probably would expect there to be a lot of Halloween things on this list. There's some really, there's some gory things on this list, but they're not Halloween.
And I didn't watch them.
So, well, there's one gory thing at least, and it's not Halloween. So anyway, I can tell you some things that we finished. We finished Race to Survive New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a good show.
It is a wonderful show. It's one for the whole family, and basically it's kind of like they are working their way from one end of New Zealand to another, and there's different climates and different, there's one part might be rocky and one part
Swampy.
might be, swampy or
woodsy or whatever. It's
exactly.
Just,
Whitewater rafting
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. It's just a really good show. It's an adventure type
Yeah.
show. We finished after, I feel like a year, we finished Malcolm in the Middle. The reason we started watching Malcolm in the Middle was because Frankie Muniz, is that how you say his name? I still don't even know how to say his name. He was on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
Yeah. So it had to have been about a year ago.
Yes, because that usually comes on around Christmas time. And so everybody there knew him and knew of Malcolm in the Middle, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is an American show, and we have not watched this. Shame on us. And so that's why, and I really liked him.
Yeah.
And he seems like such a great guy. And so we started watching Malcolm in the Middle, and when we started watching it, it was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea this is where Bryan Cranston came from. And because we just thought Breaking Bad, And so anyway, you're introduced to a lot of cool characters. And you see people every now and then that they played like kids in Malcolm in the Middle, and you don't realize, like Emma Stone was in an episode of Malcolm in the Middle, and you just don't realize it. That's who it was, wasn't it? And it's like, that's really cool. But it was a good show, and we did finally finish that. And I say finally, not like we were
wanting it to be over.
Right, but I mean, it just took us a while because we take our time.
It's a good show. If you never watch it, it's very funny.
It is.
It gets a little slow towards the later seasons, but it's still a good show.
Yeah. Lost. We finished Lost.
Tammy slugged her way through the last few seasons.
I didn't think it was ever going to be over with.
Honestly, the first 3 seasons were really good. And
you could just quit watching it right there.
And then once the 4th season started, 4th, 5th, and 6th, it just kind of flattened out.
It's, you know what, when we first started watching it, I would have recommended those seasons to people. I wouldn't want anybody else to have to sit through what I sat through, because truly it was torture. It's like, well, we need to keep watching this because I'll never, if I stop, I'll never pick it up and finish it, because it's so twisted and it's like somebody else wrote. It's kind of like another show that what was the name of that? Anyway, it was like another show that I watched where it's like you could...
Like a different writing team
took over. That's what it seemed like, is a different writing team took over.
Well, the first few seasons, it's somewhat believable. I mean, it's kind of far-fetched still, some of it is, but it's still somewhat believable, right? Mm-hmm. And then it goes into some wild stuff at the end, and it's like, okay, whatever.
Right.
So... yeah, I can definitely see where it got weird.
I mean, and for you to want to watch it again really surprised me.
Well, first of all, I wanted you to watch it because I thought you would find it interesting, but I had also forgot about the slowdown. And
Bloodline. Bloodline was the other show. I had to look it up because it was killing me. I knew I remembered part of the name. Bloodline, I loved Bloodline, and I watched it by myself. I would still like for Kevin to watch it. I guess that's kind of how you are with Lost. It's like somebody else wrote the complete ending to Bloodline and messed the whole thing up, but I loved the beginning of it so much that it's like, well, it's worth watching because you have to take the good and the bad. And so I would watch that again with you, Bloodline. But no, you weren't interested.
I watched the first episode or two, and I just couldn't get into it.
I know. And I just really like that. Okay, so.
It's boring.
Okay, so Shameless. we just finished the 9th season of Shameless. So we haven't even watched the first episode of season 10, but that's where we are.
Got 2 more seasons.
If you have watched Shameless, I can tell you.
The U.S. version.
The U.S. version. I'm not going to give anything away, but I will tell you the last season of episode 9 is where a major character in the show leaves. That's where we are now. And so I think we have 2 seasons left. And so we'll see how it goes. We absolutely love it, though. It's one of these shows where we can be out somewhere, or we can be in the shower or something. You know, Kevin will be in the shower and I'm taking my makeup off, and Kevin will be like, such and such and such from Shameless. And it's one of those that we just talk about.
Or you think about it, it's like, can you believe that person did that? Or how would they do that?
Yeah, it's like at random times where
we'll think about something.
Yes, and we discuss. So it's a really good show because Kevin and I are discussing this all the time. But we really love Shameless. Okay, Survivor. Survivor is Survivor, and we're enjoying that.
Yep.
It's
always got the characters you love to hate, and then it's got the ones they're not doing anything, and then the ones that you really like. You know, it's just like all the seasons.
It's all like, yes, it's no different. Great British Bake Off.
Still going through that.
The Great British Bake Off. I still, you know, that's one of those shows that, you know, all these shows, usually, like Kevin said, there's somebody you love to hate. I don't ever feel that way on the Bake Off.
No.
To where I can't stand this person and I want them to go home, because they don't do it that way.
No,
they don't.
It's all positive.
You know, the producers can really make you feel a certain way about somebody if they want to. They can show them in certain lights. The Bake Off's not one of that show. You're one of those.
It's overall a happy show.
You're rooting for everybody on there. You want everybody to do well.
Yeah. The only thing you judge them then is you literally judge them on their baking, and you're like, that person's probably not as good as this person, so it's fair that they went home. You know, that's the kind of way you think. It's not like boy, I'm glad that person went home.
Right. No, it's
because we're watching another show that's like, I'm so glad they left.
Okay, we're going to talk about that.
We'll get there in a second.
Yes, that's the last thing I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, different, just a different mindset for that show. It's a happier show.
Okay, I watched a bunch of movies by myself, but this was one of them. It was called Apartment 7A, and it has Julia Garner, the girl that played Ruth in Ozark, the blonde that plays Ruth, real scrappy.
Yeah, curly hair.
She's in it. And Diane Wiest from Life in Pieces.
Oh, yeah.
And The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
She's in it. And so Apartment 7A, that Ruth from Ozark, the Diane Wiest and her husband, something happens and they're like, oh, you can stay in this apartment. You can stay here, and Ruth, I'm calling her Ruth, but there's weird things that happen. It's creepy. It's a very creepy movie. It has a very surprise ending, and I would watch it again. It's one of those that
it's kind of Halloween-y.
No, it's not Halloween. It's one of those, it's like, you know, there was a movie with Michael Keaton where he was playing the super of this apartment, and I can't think of the name of it right now. But he was like stalking these people and sending them stuff in the mail, and he was being really, really creepy. This is kind of like that with this Apartment 7A. What was that movie that we watched years ago? It had Sharon Stone and one of the Baldwin brothers, and they were in a big apartment complex, and he was watching them. Yeah. He had cameras in every apartment. He had cameras in the elevator.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just a creepy movie. It's really creepy. Then I watched one called Wolves. Wolves has George Clooney and Brad Pitt.
It's not wolves either.
It's wolves. Yeah, it's
literally
wolves.
Spelled that way.
Yes, it's spelled wolves. WOLFS. And I watched it because it had George Clooney and Brad Pitt.
Yeah, you would think it'd be awesome.
No. No.
Just because they put big names doesn't mean anything.
No, and that's going to be true of another movie I'm going to tell you about in just a little bit. There's a lot of big names and not a lot going on. This movie, George Clooney and Brad Pitt are fixers. So when something bad happens, when somebody dies or gets killed or whatever, one of them, they're going to swoop in and they're going to clean up the mess so that the person that was involved in it does not get blamed. And they're going to take their fixers. So I wrote on here, way too much talking and not enough action. There were parts, it's like, let's get this moving. You know, they're
and
just...
you don't want that in a movie.
No, they're just sitting in the car talking and it's like, oh my gosh, stop talking. Let's, you know, there's not enough action going on. I also wanted you all to know there are drugs in certain places in there in case you have a problem with that. I just thought it was boring. I thought it was boring. I would not watch it again. Even though it had George Clooney and Brad Pitt, I would not recommend it to you.
I didn't watch it.
A show we watched together, and you can talk about this if you want, in House of the Dragon.
Oh, yeah. That was good.
Yeah. Was that the third season, maybe? Second season.
Yeah,
okay.
Second one. It was a good show. It's I wish, I know it's a slow build, just like all these, like, big, epic, you know, like fantasy shows. I wish it moved forward a little bit faster, but...
I did think the story would go further than what it did, but they stopped it.
They stopped it, I guess, is a good time, but that they could have arrived to that point probably in 3 episodes instead of like 6 or 8 episodes, whatever it was.
But they're trying to drag it out.
They're trying to drag it out, and they're trying to build these characters and show you where they're coming from and all that. I mean, I understand it, but Game of Thrones was the same way. Mm-hmm. Game of Thrones, you would think, okay, they could have went halfway into the next season in this one season. You know, they could have compressed it a little bit. But then again, if you're enjoying it, who cares? You know, make it go on as long as possible. The bad thing is now we got to wait another year or 2 before the next one comes out. So,
yes. And that's one of those shows where I love the score, the music score.
And the visuals are nice too.
And yes, so I always have to watch that in the beginning. And I love
that's
that.
one of the few shows we actually listened to the whole beginning.
Yeah, I want to hear it all.
Yeah, Malcolm in the Middle was another one, by the way.
Yeah, I did listen.
Every time.
I did.
Like, skip the intro. We've heard this 500 times.
We listened to every single, and I don't think I skipped it one time.
I don't think she ever did.
Okay, and it's a terrible intro. It's not that great, but I mean, it's just...
she likes the song.
Yeah, I just like it. Okay, Hold Your Breath. Hold Your Breath has Sarah Paulson, and you might know Sarah Paulson from American Horror Story.
And so many other things.
She's a brilliant actress. She's very... very gifted. She was
what was that
nurse Ratchet.
That's what it was. She played Nurse Ratchet.
She's good. She's very good.
She plays a very diverse set of characters. I mean, she goes from normal people to crazy people to all kinds of different things.
Well, this takes place in 1930s Oklahoma amid the region's horrific dust storm. So it's like the Dust Bowl. And she is convinced that there is a presence
in the dust.
That is threatening a threat to her family. Yes, and she's kind of
sounds like they're stir crazy.
Well, she's kind of going crazy.
Yeah.
She's going crazy. And it's amazing. It's like I've never had any education on this at all. There's a lot of things I haven't been educated about, but this is one of the Dust Bowl. Well, no, this I don't remember ever being like educated about it. I've never watched any films on it, documentaries or anything. But she would literally go into her house and the like the pillowcase would have like a layer of just dust, and she's having to knock this out every day, and they're having to cover their mouths and but I mean, the floor it's just a constant job of cleaning, and it's kind of like Sam Kinison, get out of the desert, you know, why would you want to live like this? They
don't have any money.
But yeah, it's
nowhere to go.
Yeah,
you own the land, you know, you don't want to give up the land you own. But those houses also weren't sealed very well either. So and And the dust is blowing like crazy.
Yes.
And anywhere it's an opening, it's going to get in.
Yes. There were some jump scares in this movie. It's creepy, but it's not as creepy.
It's not like a horror movie.
No, it's not like Apartment 7A creepy, but it was like they had some jump scares and you don't know what's going on. And you're like, is all this in this woman's imagination or is this really happening? And so it's stuff like that where like, yeah, it was interesting. Okay, then The Fabulous Four. This is the movie that I was talking about where...
And who watches a lot of movies while she's working on YouTube?
Well, or while I'm walking. This was
a
a movie I was walking. And like I watched Wolves because of George Clooney and Brad Pitt. I watched this one because it has Susan Sarandon and Bette Midler and a lot of other famous women in it.
You would think that'd be good.
It tells the story of two friends who travel to be bridesmaids in a surprise wedding of their college girlfriend. This is one of those movies.
So this is an elderly wedding.
Yes.
Got those women in there.
Yes. And honestly, this is going to sound very mean. And it's not meant to be mean. But this is one of those movies that I can imagine an elderly group of women getting together and going to the movie and seeing it. And they are having their, they'll go out to eat and then they'll go to the movie. They'll have their girls' day out, but elderly women specifically. And I can imagine them saying, oh, that was so good. That was such a good movie. No, it was not. It was a very, there wasn't a lot of story there. It wasn't deep. It had a lot of famous faces, and I truly enjoyed getting to see those famous people. But the story, it was one of those, it's like, yeah, I can see, Aunt whoever going to the movie and seeing this. That's the type that this is for. So for me, it was a one-time only thing. So I went and saw The Substance. The Substance has Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley, and it is about a fading celebrity that takes a black market drug, a cell-replicating substance that temporarily creates a younger, better version of herself. I thought Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley did a great job. What it is Demi Moore, she's on television in the very beginning. She's this aerobics instructor, and she has a TV show, and she overhears somebody saying that she's getting long in the tooth, and so basically she takes this drug, and once you take this drug, it basically breeds another person. So like you see her body open up, you see her back split, her whole back split open. It's very, very, very graphic, I want you to know. And this other person comes out, and that is Margaret Qualley. And so they have to take turns. So like, I'm thinking it's either like 4 days or every 7 days. It might be it might have been every 10 days. But, so like Demi Moore will have the control of the body for 10 days. And then this young girl's going to have control of the body for like 10 days. And when the young girl has control, the other one doesn't have any, like Demi Moore would have no control over what Margaret Qualley's doing while she's in the body, and vice versa. So what I would want you to know about this movie is I would not go see it. I thought it was a great movie in the beginning. I thought the storyline was very interesting, and I really enjoyed the story at the beginning, but the end of the movie is so gory and graphic and disturbing that I would never want anybody to sit through that. Like, it was the most gory thing I've ever seen, and I looked away for most of the time because it was that gory. It was very, very disturbing images. And I just can't even tell you how graphic it gets. So I would absolutely not. And there was no reason for it. There was no reason for it. And it got weird. It got stupid weird. And it's like, why did they even go this direction with it? Because it just got really stupidly, absurdly weird. And it could have been, it was so good in the beginning, and I just don't know why they had to end it on that note. But because they did, I'm not recommending that. Definitely not for young kids.
Unless you like the gory stuff.
I wouldn't even want my teenager to go see that. I mean, it's just that gory that I just, I just wouldn't. Okay.
Some movies do that.
Yeah.
Go off the deep end.
Okay, then I watched Omni Loop. Omni Loop has Mary Louise Parker, which you know her from Fried Green Tomatoes, Ruth. A woman from Miami, Florida decides to solve time travel in order to go back and be the person she always intended to. This movie was it was like Groundhog Day. She literally is reliving the same day over and over and over and over again.
On purpose, though.
No, she has no control of it. Well, as far as what I saw, she had no control over it. I mean, but then again, she is trying to, I guess she did have some control over it. It was a one-time movie for me. I wouldn't recommend that one either. Here's another one. Requiem from a Dream. This one had Ellen Burstyn, Jared Leto, and Jennifer Connelly. Sweet little Jennifer Connelly from Labyrinth. The drug-induced utopias of 4 Coney Island people are shattered when their addictions run deep.
Is that what that was? See, I never knew what it was about.
This is an older movie. And the only reason I watched it is because Ashley said, have you ever seen this movie? Well, I thought I had seen it, but I had not. I definitely had not seen this before. My favorite part of this movie was the music. I really, really enjoyed the music score throughout the whole movie. But this one, I'm not going to recommend this one because it has some... It's not bad. There's drug use throughout the whole thing. Drug use.
What's the whole premise?
The whole thing is drugs. But it gets really disturbing towards the end of the movie. And so I'm not going to recommend it because of that. It seems like I might not have watched Halloween movies, but I did watch some things disturbing. Yes, this was the month for disturbing movies. So next month I'm going to try to do better. But then the last thing I wanted to talk about, because if you're an American, you probably want to tune out right now because we're going to talk about Big Brother UK. I love Big Brother UK.
It's good. Yeah, it's definitely better than the US version because there's more interaction.
You get to know the people. And it's not all the competitions and stuff like that. And it's not. They
have tasks, but it involves everybody trying to do something towards the task. It's not competing against each other, like standing on a wall tilted forward for as long as possible, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't like the silliness of the Big Brother here. Whereas over there, it's truly about getting to know other people. And when they do a group tasks, it's because. What do they call it? They want
luxury shopping.
Luxury shopping.
Yeah, so which means they get a bigger food budget.
They get a bigger food budget, but it benefits the whole house. And
they do have head of household, but it's really not much of a competition, really.
Yeah, I really do like it. There are so far we are filming this on Wednesday, but this video will come out on Thursday. So we have not, as of right now, we have not seen Wednesday show. So when you see this you'll know more than me when you see this on Thursday. But so far, if you're watching this, Days has been evicted, Izaz, Ryan, those are the 3 that have been evicted so far. Who are your favorite people in the house?
I like Nathan.
I like Nathan too.
I like Baked Potato, which I think her real name's Rose, but
is her real name Rose?
Something like that. But they basically did this thing.
I know where he's Baked Potato.
The very beginning, it's Rose or Rosie or something like that. But at the very beginning, they did a thing where she had to
change her name.
She had to change her name to Baked Potato, so they've called her Baked Potato
through the whole show. And I don't know her real name because I call her Baked Potato.
I like those two.
Nathan and Baked Potato are my favorite people.
I like Sarah okay. Thomas really doesn't do much of anything.
No.
Dean's okay.
Dean's okay. Yeah.
Emma's okay, although she's a little snarky sometimes.
How do you feel about Allie?
Allie's okay. I don't dislike her as much as you do. I think she's okay. I think she definitely has an opinion, but I think some of that is just like you said before. The editors and the producers can make things seem certain ways. I think they portrayed her very negatively because she has done the exact same things as other people have done, but somehow she gets called out on it more so than the other person that did the exact same thing. Do you know what I mean?
But she's willing to.
She's just willing to say it in front of people.
Say it in front of people, whether other people.
Just saying it behind your back.
She, I think Allie. I think she's very pretty. I think she's a very attractive woman. But I think she is. She has judged. I don't appreciate that I feel like she has put labels on certain people that didn't deserve those labels. For example,
of course, we're not in the house, so they may have deserved those labels.
So, right, we're watching.
Because there's sometimes people have said, you know what, I'm seeing what Allie saw now.
Right, because they get to see like the after show or something.
No, like one person said, like I think it was Martha, I can't remember, but anyway, she said, I'm starting to see in one of the guys, I don't remember, I'm starting to see what Allie saw in him way back. And maybe Allie's just more observant.
No, that was, Emma said that because she put, was his name Khalid? She put him up for eviction.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm starting to see what she saw because he's looking at the cameras all the time.
But so maybe it's not the fact that Allie's judging people. Maybe she's just quicker to be able to judge people. Mm-hmm. Maybe she sees it quicker than other people did. So anyway, I like Allie.
She also said that though about Baked Potato. She said, how can somebody be that nice all the time?
And I don't agree with that.
No, I don't agree with that at all.
And she's not the only one that said that. Somebody else has said, how can you be that nice about...
and it's like, some people are just nice.
Yeah. It's some like, people are... You can't be that nice all the time. It's like, you can be that nice.
You can be that nice all the time.
But she's not the only one. Other people have said the same thing about other people. And it's like, what's wrong with being nice?
What's wrong? Yeah, what's wrong with being a nice person?
So Allie's not my favorite person, but I don't mind Allie. She's definitely better than some of the other people in the house.
Okay, so. Who do you dislike? Who would you like to see gone?
Oh, that Marcello or whatever his name. He is a sexist turd.
Mm-hmm. Everything with him is some kind of sexual comment. And I think he's disrespectful to women. I really do.
And he says he's made lots of changes and stuff. And it's like, well, if this is the better version of you, I can't imagine.
Yes, because I don't like that. I don't want some man constantly making sexual comments or flirting or, I just don't appreciate that. But just like
he said a comment about pleasuring yourself. And they were all sitting on the couch. And Allie said, I really don't appreciate that topic, that conversation. Why don't you have that conversation in private somewhere?
Right.
Why would you talk about that in front of everybody? And he got mad about it.
He did. He didn't
like being, talk about whatever I want to.
He didn't like being called out on that.
And I agree with her. It's like, I don't need to hear that. And they were stuck on the couch. So Big Brother basically said, sit here.
You have to stay.
So she said, I couldn't even get up and leave.
Right.
And he said, yeah, you can just walk away. And she says, I couldn't. I literally was there. Right. So, things like that. I don't really like him that much. Hannah, I think Hannah is kind of a mean girl, and they've said that before in the house. I think she is kind of a mean girl. She gets angry. She goes like 0 to 100 within seconds. And
it's a shame because she's a beautiful woman. But she seems very angry all the time.
And you know what? Some people can't handle the pressure in the house as much, so it could be just that. I'm sure out in the real world she's not like that, But you get
there's
no
telling
in the house,
how I would be in there.
Yeah.
So those are your two that you dislike the most?
Probably. I'm trying to look.
He hasn't said mine. Mine.
Lily. I don't dislike Lily because I think she's loud and obnoxious, but I think she also has the mindset of a 12-year-old. So literally, she acts like she's a 12-year-old.
I don't think she acts 12. I think she acts. I'm thinking 6 years old. I think something happened to her, Lily. I can't stand her. I think something happened to her when she was about 6 years old, and she still is 6 years old. So
she has no way of controlling what she does. So
she's like 20, but she's 20 years old, but she literally is stuck at like 6. She will pick her nose and eat her boogers. On TV. She will scream, just scream for no reason. She's
dirty. She doesn't clean up after herself. She doesn't clean herself.
Piles of clothes in the floor. She doesn't do any of her dishes. The other night they were trying to sleep, and she was up running around in the middle of the night like a little kid who's gotten out of bed. And is running free.
She did something on the one of the last ones we watched where they were getting phone calls. And they were all like, Lily, don't answer the phone. Don't answer the phone, because they want to be able to hear what the other people are saying. She jumps up and immediately answers the phone.
Yeah, just she wants spite, because she's a turd. I just can't.
And a mature person would say, they don't want me to answer the phone. I'm not going to answer the phone. Right. She did it because they said they didn't want her. Right. She just wanted the excitement of answering the phone. So I agree. She's annoying.
If I was in the audience, I would be one of the ones screaming, "Get Lily out!"
She's annoying, but she's not one I dislike.
I dislike her.
She's very annoying. I could never live with her. But
I wouldn't want to live with her. And I would. If you are in the UK and you can vote, please get Lily out. This is from me.
Vote to evict.
Vote to evict Lily. I want her gone so bad. And that kills me too. They baby her. They baby
she's
her.
A 6-year-old.
And
a 12-year-old.
They fawn over her and give her shoulder pats and because they treat her like a baby, and it's like she does not deserve this at all. She needs to know that she needs to grow up.
Yeah, she does. She needs to grow up a little bit.
So she would be the one that I dislike the most.
She's annoying, like I said, but I don't dislike her.
I would like for her to go first. But then...
I think if Hannah went, there'd be a lot less controversy.
Yes, because...
But Allie, too.
I think Allie and Hannah are equal for me.
I think they're both the center of a lot of...
Yes.
Stuff going on.
Yeah, I really do. Yeah, so that either one of those could go.
But honestly, I like Allie, so it's all right.
I know you like her, and
I don't dislike her.
And I think too, I don't like it that the house wanted certain people out, and then Allie and Dean chose to change that completely. They could have either added people to the
right. They could have been a third set
on the block,
or switch out,
or they could have switched out. I don't think they should have switched out. I think they should have added 2, but don't take out the people that the house wanted up there. And it's all because Allie didn't want Lily to go up,
but Dean didn't either.
Yeah,
that's that was my case where I said Allie took the blame for a lot when Dean had just as much, if not more, to say about the subject than she did. Mm-hmm. Because she did not want to put up the 2 that went up, because she said, if you put them up, I'm going to get the blame for that. Mm-hmm. She had nothing to do with it, really. Yes, they agreed as a team,
right?
But that was Dean pushing that, not her. So that's what I'm saying. She's been portrayed as someone that does all this stuff, but in reality, it wasn't even her. It wasn't all her.
Right.
It was Dean too. So
I think it's all...
You could sit here and do a whole video on just one show.
On just Big Brother. I know. And if you're American and you're watching this, you're like, this sounds like a foreign language to you.
It sounds like high school or something.
Yeah, you would have no clue what was going on. But I love it. It's like a piece of cake for me.
It comes on every night. It comes on so it's bad.
Every single night, and I look forward to it. Mm-hmm. Every single night I look forward to it. And so
it's just hard to keep up with.
I'm always sad when it goes off. It's kind of like I'm a celebrity. Yeah, that comes on every night.
But the Big Brother, like the US version, they only do it like 2 or 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And they kind of wrap up everything in those couple of days. Right. But they're also not getting those deep conversations and stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the UK Big Brother does get those. The US version's all about competition.
Right. So your favorite guy on there is Nathan.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Yeah,
I really like him.
He seems like just a really good guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. They talk about his political views
The
and
Tory.
stuff.
Nathan the Tory.
We know nothing about the politics.
I'm assuming it would be our conservatives.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm assuming if he were in America, he would be a Republican, is what I would think. But I really like him. I think he's a great guy. And then it's funny because he and Baked Potato have this like little romance going on, a showmance, and she would be a Democrat. So he's like a strong Republican. And well, she said they're completely different political beliefs. So she would be on the other side. But that's what's cool. That's why opposites attract. You know, that's true. Opposites really do attract. And they're really, really cute together. So anyway, that's going to do it for the month of October. If I had to recommend one movie to you, I wouldn't recommend any movie to you.
Nothing you watch.
I would not recommend any of the movies that I have named during this video. I would not want you to watch. I mean, really, I would not waste my time on any of them. So that's, and if you want to watch something nice and light, then watch the Great British Bake Off if you can. But yeah, I'm not recommending any of those movies to you because once that little seed's planted, you're always going to be thinking about different disturbing parts of these movies. So I just wouldn't watch any of them.
I'm looking to see if anything else is coming up.
Oh, and I know that new show has been coming on. Mandy and Georgie
and Mandy.
We have it, but we haven't started it yet because Big Brother has been coming on every night, and we're watching Shameless every night, and so we haven't started watching it yet. But we finished Malcolm in the Middle. So here's my question: we could either watch next for a big show. We could either watch Parks and Recreation next, or we could start Schitt's Creek next. I would love to take a vote below. Which one do you think we should start next? Which one do you think we would like the most? Because I'm thinking like they're both like half-hour shows that would be good to take the place of, you know, that half hour we had for Malcolm in the Middle. So please vote below. We could do Parks and Recreation or Schitt's Creek, one of those. So, and hopefully I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's supposed to sound kind of.
Did you have anything else you want to say?
No, there's really nothing coming up that's on the radar for the next couple of weeks at least.
Right. So anything, as always, that you have watched that you've enjoyed, please put it in the comments below. Not only are we reading it, other people are reading it, and you give other people ideas what's out there, because there's so much out there. It's hard
with
to
all
filter.
these streaming services, there's so many.
It's hard to filter through what's good and what's not. And so, hey, this video has been a service for you all to tell you don't watch any of the movies that I watched, basically. So that will save you a lot of time. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you at the end of November.